Most people are throwing fertilizer out on this ground. So they would be throwing $5,000 worth of fertilizer out here when you just don't need to do it. You need to establish an ecosystem. That's what it's all about, guys. It's establishing an ecosystem on your farm, not an ecosystem of commercial fertilizer, but an ecosystem that promotes soil microbes, earthworms, and manure. This is our 29 head cattle herd. We established this herd this year. No wormer, no medicines, no antibiotics, no nothing. Grass and cows. It can be done, guys. This is the completely passive water system right here. This water system runs on gravity feed from the pond up there. The cows never ever see the watershed. They never get in the ponds. They never get in the creeks. There's no manure in the creek. There's no manure in the pond. And no fertilizer ever since we've been here. Never. Another soil amendment. We're bringing carbon to the farm. No commercial fertilizer. Soil amendments, biochar and composting manure pile over here. We'll put this on the land once we burn it, along with the manure. More soil amendments. Never had commercial fertilizer applied. This is what the soil looked like on the farm when we bought it about 6 years ago. One time we had to fertilize in order to get our grass seed started. This has not had fertilizer on it for 6 years. Only soil amendments. This brown that you see has not been mowed, and this distinct line that you see, it's been mowed on this side and not mowed on that side. I'm experimenting to see whether mowing it stimulates the growth after we take the cows off the land, and this has been rested for about 40 days. This is our solar well set up here on this side of the farm. This side has approximately 42 acres of pasture. No fertilizer for 5 years. No commercial fertilizer in 6 years. I mowed it and I didn't mow it. Mowing it stimulates grass growth, thickens the grass, and makes it a better pasture. Hey there folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome back to another beautiful day here, woo, it's bright, on the Stoney Ridge Farm. We're out here in the cow pasture with you today, and I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the woes of intensive grazing on a smaller piece of property. So guys, we've got 150 acres here. We've probably got about 80 something acres of cleared pasture right now, and we're mob grazing a 29 head herd of cattle. So come along and let's talk about the real world, the real facts, whether you can get away without using fertilizers, without mowing, what makes it the best, what works the best on a small acreage like our farm, 150 acres or even less, or even more, 250 acres, 300 acres. We're mob grazing our cattle, and we're not using medications, and we're not using fertilizers, and we're doing it right, and it's working. Come along. Stoney Ridge, farm, Stoney Ridge, Stoney Ridge Farm. Woo! Welcome to the Stoney Ridge Farm channel. If this is your first time here, or if this is your 500th time here, please pound that like button, jump in, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you back. That's one of our donkeys over there. We've got the donkeys out here to protect our baby cows and our big cows from coyote attacks. So these are the ultimate coyote weapon right here, and I think this one's gonna sneak up behind me and nibble on my butt. So what we're doing out here in the cow pasture today, we're here to talk to you a little bit about intensive grazing and what I've learned here over probably the past 6 years. Now we just got our herd established. We started out with 2 or 3 cows, moved on up to about 6 cows, and now we've got a full herd of about 29 cows, okay? Cows, cow-calf pairs, young bulls, young heifers. So that's what we're doing here on the farm. We're moving these cows on a semi-daily basis. So we're on a smaller piece of property here, and you guys need to know this. If you're considering this intensive grazing method that's promoted by like Greg Judy and Joel Salatin and some of the others, post them down there, post some comments down there if you subscribe to any other theories. We're moving our cows as much as we possibly can here on the farm, but water and infrastructure is expensive and it's time consuming. Moving these cows every day is very time consuming. We want to move them as much as we possibly can because we're reducing the manure load and thus reducing the worm load. This is Cody. This is the first bull born on the farm and he's looking good. You looking good, bud? Hey, buddy. You're looking tough. So, guys, look at this herd. Do they look healthy to you? We're not medicating, we're not fertilizing, we're letting the cows eat grass. Now this field has been moderately overgrazed, and you can see little piles right here, I guess little tufts of taller grass, and that's where the cows have pooped, okay? We're gonna move the cows to a different paddock here in just a second. We're gonna open up another section of pasture for these guys to chow on. It's evening time right here, the sun's about to go down. But what I want you guys to know is if you're considering intensive grazing your animals, and if you're considering trying to live this holistic, sustainable farm life, you need to plan ahead for it, okay? So you need to go on and have some permanent fencing, some permanent, really tough fencing around your perimeter of your farm. So you want to make it safe. Everybody's excited. You want to make the farm safe. You want to make it safe. You don't want to get that call in the middle of the night that your cow had gotten out and a minivan had ran into the cow and it had hurt somebody. You definitely don't want that. What are you doing, guys? What you doing? What are you doing, That's Butthead. Man, these cows look good. So anyhow, the lessons that I've learned is have some water infrastructure in place, guys. What we're having to do is open up new paddocks every day or every other day here on the farm, and we're not getting enough rest time on some of the land that we're on right now, because the cows have to make the trek back to the water tanks at least twice a day here. Each cow probably drinks somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 25, maybe even 30 gallons per day in the hot summertime. So get some water infrastructure in place. Don't bank on hauling water like we did. So I was hauling water all over the farm, and it was costing my butt, and it was costing me a lot of time. So this intensive grazing thing can work for you, but you're gonna have to make some modifications if you've got a smaller piece of property like this. We don't have 300 head of cows moving them on 3,500 acres, and we don't have, I don't know, 85 cows moving them around on 1,600 acres. A lot of these guys that you're talking to about intensive mob grazing are moving a small herd on a large piece of land. We want to maximize our herd size and use as little land as possible. So that's what this is all about. Let's go over here and move the cows a little bit. What I've learned is get some infrastructure in place for water, because water has been the biggest hassle of everything here. So get some infrastructure in place, reach out to your local county extension agent and have them draw you up a plan for putting waterers on your farm for intensively grazing your pastures. And this pasture, check it out. This is absolutely gorgeous, guys. This has not had fertilizer on it for, gosh, I'm gonna say at least 5 years. I fertilized it and limed it the first year because I was conventional. I did what the other farmers were doing, and I'm realizing that's the wrong thing to do here. We need to establish an ecosystem. And when you put that commercial fertilizer on, you start the ecosystem over again. Does this grass look bad? No. Now, are we telling you that Grandpa's been doing it wrong for all these years? If you want to farm that way, you can farm that way. If you want to farm capital intensive, in other words, if you like throwing money on the land versus throwing butt fertilizer out on the land, go for it, man. I like bringing carbon to my soil and building my soil and building the microbes in the soil. It actually works, guys. The proof is in the pudding right here, and it's just getting better and better every single year. So let's move the cows onto a new paddock. Cows know when the four-wheeler comes rolling over, man, it's food time. We got to go to a different place. We're gonna wait just a minute before we start calling them. Get these guys over here, and we're gonna open up a paddock that's had probably 25 days of rest. When you've got a small farm like this, you don't have the option of letting paddocks rest for 90 days. You just don't have that option. The grass still looks good, but it's not the best in the world. It's really not the best in the world. It's just the way it is. We've got some Lespedeza in here. We've got some broom grass, we've got some native grasses, we've got some ragweed in here, we've got a multi-species pasture, and that's what we want. That's what's gonna make our cows grow. We don't want them just out here on fescue. We want them to get legumes, we want them to get grasses, various types of grasses, Johnson grass, all sorts of stuff. Man, cows love milkweed, but we don't want them to be on a monocrop or a monoculture out here. These aren't horses, and we're not feeding them horse hay, we're feeding them this right here, and they love it. Let's get them moved. Here they come. Woo, girls, come on. All of our electric fence wire is poly braid, and that's all from Farm Fence Solutions. And we'll turn off our solar controller right here. This is a solar controller so we don't get zapped, and we're gonna be moving. The cows are running down here, man. We're not going this way. We're actually gonna go right up there. Come on, girls. Livestock is what this farm has been missing for years. Guys, look at that. Isn't that awesome? That's absolutely great. All those cows spread out over that pasture. The summertime blues, that's what the cows are crying. So all I do, I have a little loop right here that's hooked to a post, and I'm gonna open up this pasture, this section of paddock, for the cows to go in here and graze. Just watch, this is so fun. Come on, come on. Woo! Come on, girls. Woo! Woo, girls. Come on. Hey, girls. Come on through. Come on through, girls. Woo! Got some fresh grass, got some fresh butt fertilizer coming out here. Awesome. These guys are like, man, hot dog, fresh grass. Woo! Come on. So now these guys will have access to this for about 3 days, 2 to 3 days, something like that. And they'll have access to go back. So we're not back fencing in the summertime because we simply don't haul water all over the farm. We cannot haul water all over the farm. So my advice to you guys, if you're deciding that you want to do this, you want to live this lifestyle, and you want to mob graze your cows on a smaller piece of property, and we've got probably 45 acres in this entire pasture right here. I've got it sectioned off into about 7 or 8 different sections. Guys, it takes work, it takes time, and it takes infrastructure. It takes a good perimeter fence, and it takes good water. So get some good water sources on your farm and make sure that you have that set up in place before you start trying to mob graze your cattle, guys. So they'll graze this for several days, and then I'll come back in and I'll mow it. I'll knock it down to about 5 inches tall. When it recovers back in succulent green grass. So if you leave it alone, and you guys can see from the footage, from the drone footage right now, you can see the brown and you can see the green. The green is what I mowed and the brown is what I didn't mow. I experimented. I'm trying different things here so I can teach you guys what I've learned and what works for me on my farm here in North Carolina. No fertilizer on this pasture right here for 5 years, okay? The first time when we cleared the land and we put our seed down, that's when we fertilized, and I have not touched it since. The cows are doing the work for us, guys. The sunlight, the cows, and the soil. We don't have any topsoil here in North Carolina. This is the Piedmont region of North Carolina, and we have the most highly eroded soils in the country. You would think that Arizona or somewhere out in the Nevada desert would be the most eroded soils, but the most eroded soils in the country are right here, and we're showing you guys how to build it up. I hope you guys learned a little bit on this video. No fertilizer, just cows, just amendments. We're bringing hay to the farm. If you have any questions, please post them down there in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. This is putting it into practice. When it comes down to it, we don't have a 1,600 acre farm. We've got a 150 acre farm. We don't have a 3,500 acre farm. We don't have the option to move our cows and let the land rest for 90 days. So we're giving it 20, 30 days, and we're intensively grazing, and we're going in right behind them. We're hitting it with the mower and letting it recover. We're also gonna be trying a new tool out within the next couple of weeks. We're gonna be trying a drag harrow. So we'll come in here, we'll drag the manure out, and we'll mow it, and we'll let it recover as it rains on the land. We've had a little bit of a dry year this year, so it's made it a little bit more stressful on the cows. Typically around here, you can run 1 to 1.5 cows per acre on good soil and good grass. But most people are throwing fertilizer out on this ground. So they would be throwing $5,000 worth of fertilizer out here when you just don't need to do it. You need to establish an ecosystem. That's what it's all about, guys. It's establishing an ecosystem on your farm, not an ecosystem of commercial fertilizer, but an ecosystem that promotes soil microbes, earthworms, and manure. Awesome. Guys, thanks a lot for joining me here on the Stoney Ridge Farm. It's absolutely gorgeous. The sun is getting ready to go down, and I'm getting ready to go on live stream for you guys. So thanks a lot. Pound the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you back. It's an absolutely gorgeous day every day here on the farm, and I'm so proud of what's going on here over the past 6 years. All of this was overgrown and brushy and a total disaster when we bought the farm, and we're bringing it back. Pretty cool. Hope you'll follow the channel. See you next time.
Well, come on down to the Stoney Ridge, bring your wife and bring your